Hey everyone, welcome back for another episode in Adventures of Comprehension. If you don't know me, my name is Ciera Harris. I am the author behind Ciera Harris Teaching. Let's dive into 10 different ideas that can help motivate our unmotivated readers. So idea number 1, find out why the student doesn't like to read. So this step is for all of those students who show that lack of engagement and motivation to read. They just don't have it intrinsically, right? They do it because you tell them to do it, but there's just not a spark there. And there could be a lot of reasons or causes why this is happening. A student may not feel very confident in their reading abilities. They may not be, they may be embarrassed to read out loud. They may know that they have trouble with their fluency or their decoding skills, and they're just kind of, it's just not fun yet, right? They're just not to that point where fluency is kicked in, and so they think that fluent reading equals a good reader, and they have that equation in their mind. Therefore, they're not fluent, they're not a good reader, and we've got to change that statistic, right? Or another scenario is the student may not be interested in the type of books that are being offered in the classroom library. This is really important, and one of the big reasons why it is so important to have a vast, wonderful library at access of all times for students, whether it be your classroom library or the school library or a public library. They need access to a variety of books, lots of different kinds and types and genres of books. But the important thing is that by finding out why a student isn't motivated to read, that we can try and solve the problem. So having frequent conversations with our students about what they're reading, why they're reading it, and whether or not they are enjoying it is really important. It gives teachers a starting point to try to create action and purpose for this disengaged reader. I now know why they're not reading. I now can then try one of these other strategies that we're going to talk about later tonight and see if I can then solve this problem with them, right? By getting to the root of that issue, together the teacher and the student can start to move towards literacy motivation, and that is our goal. All right, so idea number 2 is book matching. Book matching is basically what it sounds like, that you are matching the book to the reader. Teachers cannot assume that students are finding the perfect book, but what might really be happening is that they're just settling. They're just settling for a book because you told them that they had to have a book. So for every book that a student settles on, they're one step further away from being that engaged and motivated reader. So what do we have to do? We need to spend more time with our students while they're reading, and more importantly, while they're searching for books. I knew when it was that search time, I didn't think I needed to be over in the library. I didn't think I needed to be right there with them, helping them through that process. But it is so important, especially for our unengaged and unmotivated readers, that we are there to help them match the perfect book. But anyways, we need to know our students. We need to know them inside and out. We need to know them as readers, not just as people. What are their interests? What are their dislikes? Do we know what drives them externally? What motivates them outside of reading? You've got to know your readers. And so then, once we know our readers, we're able to then successfully book match with them. All right, so idea number 3 that we're talking about tonight as far as motivating our readers is to check their schema. One of the things that research shows us is that when readers start reading a book, their brain takes one of two paths, right? It can go right or it can go left. It can go right meaning as I'm reading, I'm finding that I can relate to the book. I'm finding that I can connect to the book. I'm finding that I have schema already somewhere in my brain that is able to make those strong connections. I am engaged with the text. And when that happens, when that brain makes that switch and goes right, then things happen like my memory increases, my brain function works faster, I'm able to comprehend better. All of those things that we want to happen in our readers happen because they had schema, because they knew that this was important to me. I can relate to this. I got some foundation knowledge and I can kind of grow and build upon that. I can expand upon that. So the left side, or going the other way, is we pick up the book, we start reading it, and we're like, I don't really, I don't understand. I don't have schema for this. It doesn't really relate to me. I really don't know what's going on. It's not just a lack of confusion, but the lack of confusion that stems upon a lack of schema. So schema is so important when it comes to our unengaged readers. Maybe they keep picking up books thinking like, hey, these look really cool, but once they get into them, they're finding that they're just not able to make those neuron connections like they should be able to because they don't have the schema, right? So with readers who are disengaged, with readers who are unmotivated, they may be reading books that they're unable to connect to, and then those books turn out to be meaningless to them. So for these readers, it's really important that we talk with them, just like we've talked about this whole night, right? We've got to be talking to these readers, getting to know them on a personal basis, right? Just like we said. So what is their family situation like? What hobbies are they interested in? What do they look for when they want to read a book? What kind of connections do they want to make when they're reading a story? Explain to them how the brain works. Have a lesson on schema and how the brain works. Explain to them what schema is. Have those conversations and let them know that when they're picking books, that schema is important. Have them pick something that's going to be relatable to them, that they're going to be able to make those connections for. All right, so we are on idea number 4 for ways to motivate our readers. And idea number 4 is all about focusing on nonfiction. For many readers, the majority of the books that they hear and they read are fiction. Research actually shows us that readers are more motivated to read nonfiction than they are fiction. So how do we use this information? Make reading nonfiction an important part of our daily or our weekly routine. Nonfiction needs to be a part of every week. So somewhere, somehow, we need to have a nonfiction focus. And that's going to help get those unengaged readers a little bit more engaged week by week and over time. And they're going to build their confidence and their enjoyment with reading because we have a nonfiction focus. Making it a priority and giving those students who are those struggling, unmotivated readers, giving them a chance to have that, connection with nonfiction to get them engaged and motivated. So as teachers, we need to make sure that our nonfiction section in our classroom library as well is full. This is another side of it. Think about your classroom library. Do you have a lot of nonfiction books for them to read, right? Is it ready for your readers to explore and dive into? If the majority of your classroom titles, like my home titles here in my house, are fiction, this may be what is hindering and holding back some of your unmotivated readers. Take them to the nonfiction section of your school library. Show them that, have them pull out a book or two to take home there if your classroom library is just not up to par yet. And let them know that these books are acceptable to read just as much as the fiction books are as well. All right, we are ready for idea number 5 for how to motivate our readers. Motivating our readers, idea number 5 is to host book talks. So I don't know if you are familiar with book talks or not, but they are a fantastic and quick way to kind of explore and engage our readers into new literature. So a book talk, it is an informal and persuasive, it's more persuasive than informal, type of conversation with the reader, will be the teacher, but students can host book talks too, so I don't want to always say it's the teacher, but the person who read the book. So they are having the conversation and they're trying to convince others to read that specific book. And so the focus is that book talk. So in the book talk, the speaker will hook the audience either by showing some pictures, maybe giving a quote. They kind of set the scene of what's going on. They may give a quick little summary of the book. And then afterwards, the speaker will share his or her opinion of the book with the listeners. And then they finish by enticing the audience or the the future readers to read the book. So again, it's just a unique way to kind of get your students, not just your unmotivated readers, but all your readers, interested in a variety of books, kind of hook them into some new books, and take time to talk about literature. So I hope you found some great and new ideas tonight for motivating your readers. Let me know in the comments which one below was your favorite. Which ones have you tried? Which one have you not tried and are excited to try? I cannot wait to hear from you down below. I will be reading and responding to all of them as soon as I'm done. Bye-bye.